I love your home already, and I haven't even seen it. Does that sound crazy? It's not. When we improve our surroundings, we simultaneously empower ourselves, which means every inch of space within your reach right now is an opportunity to tell the story you want to be living. Tell me that's not its own kind of wonderful. I have spent the last 15 years consulting clients and their homes through the wisdom of Feng Shui, intentional design, and some crystal clear communication. And you know what happens when you bring those three together? Life-changing magic. Your home is already in a conversation with you, so why not learn how to merge that awareness with some simple, straightforward, and smart action to co-create the life you want? I'm Amanda Gibby Peters, and I am here to help you learn how. Welcome to House Therapy. There's a story that I love telling at the beginning of any workshop or course I teach, and so I'm going to think of us all together, and I'm going to share it here too in that same spirit. So if we look at Feng Shui's origins and stripped it to its studs, so to speak, there were philosophers that were employed by the various Chinese emperors, and their one job was to muse on the patterns of nature and the relationship between the cosmos and the earth. Now, again, this is a very watered down summary, but what they realized is that if a seed was lucky enough to land in a spot where the soil was healthy, there was enough water, the right amount of sun, and the wind wasn't too forceful, that seed would not only grow, but more importantly, it would thrive. Now, if that seed didn't have this good fortune, say it was in the sun without protection or landed in some parched soil, it would struggle. So I don't know about you, but if I have a tree outside that's not doing well or a plant inside that's struggling, the leaves get spotty or yellow or it's failing to grow, my question isn't, what the hell? Does this orchid not know how to orchid well? Who does this maple think it is? I'm immediately curious about its needs. In fact, I will go to the plant nursery and ask, does it need less water, more light, pruning, fertilizer, late night talks? My point, we rarely blame the plant, right? Instead, we ask about its environment. Well, you and I, we're exactly the same. Our environment influences us, and it is either nourishing or depleting us. Oftentimes, it's doing both. So, here's what I want to tell you that Feng Shui isn't. It's not witchcraft. It's not religious or anti-religious. It's not a new age practice, and it's certainly not a design trend that surfaces every 10 years or so. It has literally been around for 5,000 years, and that's because it's wisdom and guidance work. So the translation of Feng Shui, wind, water. Feng is wind, and in China, where Feng Shui originates, wind represents energy. Shui is water, and water symbolizes fortune. So the definition of Feng Shui, the practice of Feng Shui, is to bring your home and you into alignment with the energy of fortune. And that's it. Pretty simple, right? Now, somewhere along the way, that idea of fortune was taken and morphed into ideas that this practice can sometimes be a get-rich-quick scheme, or somehow it's all about the money. But let me ask you, when you're sick, when you've lost a loved one, if you have a job that pays well, but it sucks your soul dry, if you feel like you can't ever be yourself, when you feel like you're without a purpose, maybe rudderless or lacking some meaningful direction in your life, if you don't have access to opportunities, if you're without friends, a social network, a community that gets you, you know this, that all the money in the world can't fill that gap. So fortune here is, in fact, everything that we decide bakes the good life pie. So if we go back to the story that I shared in episode 1, you'll remember the practice of Feng Shui in our home for a few months aligned me with 1, the fortune of finding a job that kept me employed during a really sketchy job market, and 2, gave me the cushion I needed while starting something new, which was learning Feng Shui, right? So the other thing that I always like to clear up when we're hovering around what Feng Shui is and isn't, is that Feng Shui is in fact something that you don't choose to do. It's already happening all around you. And this realization came to me during an uncomfortable conversation many, many moons ago. So my daughters at the time were in 5th grade, and they were being whisked off to a 5th grade science camp. And it was a 3-day trip, so it required chaperones, and I drew a short stick. So here's the setting. We're out in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of people that I don't know well. The kids are off doing an activity, and so the parents are drinking coffee, mingling, and making small talk. And what is adult talk specialty when we don't know anyone? What do you do for a living? So this is a good time to tell you that I don't subscribe to the idea of convincing anyone that Feng Shui works. I'm really here to help people work with it if they choose. And in this group of people, I wasn't really reading receptivity vibes, if you know what I mean. And I knew that if no one had actually ever heard of Feng Shui, things were going to get weird. And still, the conversation heaved my way. I tried detouring it in another direction, but all of a sudden, a parent was chiming in and said, "Oh, she writes a blog, and it's about Feng Shui." Now, I didn't know this parent, so that was weird, but it was the hush that went over the crowd that made it really awkward. And before I had a chance to respond to her comment, another parent chimed in and said, "Feng, what? Isn't that off the beaten path?" Now, listen, I don't like confrontation, more particularly confrontation that doesn't really seek a resolution. So part of me really wanted to just agree. I mean, how often do you meet someone who says they're a Feng Shui consultant? But I felt this need in that particular moment to rally. So I explained that no, Feng Shui isn't off the beaten path. That in fact, it's been around for 5,000 years. 5,000 years. And to me, if we don't make room for its consideration, we're the ones off the beaten path. And then I went on to tell them this, that everyone is practicing Feng Shui, whether they realize it or not. Because if you have a space that's holding stuff, guess what? Feng Shui is happening all around you, whether you believe in it or not. Remember, Feng is wind, which is energy we don't see, but we see its effects, and Shui is water, and that's energy we do see. So just like you don't choose to feel that the energy's off when you walk into a room after an argument, or choose to feel the spirit when you enter a church, Feng Shui is a conversation that's happening between those seen and unseen energies, right? The earth and the cosmos, and it's happening everywhere you go. So if you have stuff and you have space, you are in effect already practicing Feng Shui. Scientists actually agree with this too. Study after study is continuing to reveal that our brains and our bodies are influenced by the buildings that we're in. They have a really elegant flowchart. It looks something like this. You're in a building, it's affecting your body, your brain. This is having influence over the thoughts you're thinking, and those thoughts you're thinking are leading to the feelings you're feeling. And that has persuasion over your mood, which then influences your behavior, which drives your decisions, and those decisions lead to what? Your outcomes. So for me, the more empowering consideration when we're having this discussion about Feng Shui is not whether we believe in it or not, but where are there opportunities for improvement around me? I mean, if life is offering a free upgrade, I'm pretty sure you want in. So here are 3 places you could look right now that all would make a huge difference in your life if you just gave it a little TLC. 1, pay attention to your front door. Curb appeal matters more than you think, and just a little bit of sprucing and sweeping will make a mighty noticeable change in your life. Number 2, notice what you see when you first walk into your space. And if you use another door than the front door, look at both, because that first impression energy that you're being greeted with is its own marquee of coming attractions in your home. The third place I want you to look is your bedroom. And in fact, for this, I want you to describe your bedroom with 3 words. And then tuck that away for a future episode, because there's a really fun whoa moment in your forecast. Listen, I often abstain from making it seem utterly necessary to consider your space as sacred. I really lean into the approach of your space, your life. But when it comes down to what really, really matters, I have to tell you, my cells are all in unison when I say it deserves to be high on your list. Your house, your environment, your ecosystem is right up there with your health, your family, your finances, and your career. So, a really quick recap. Feng Shui is a practice that aligns you and your home with the energy of fortune, and you know fortune is a very generous word. 2, Feng Shui is an energetic conversation that is already happening in your home and all the places that you dwell. So when I wrap up these workshops and these courses, I often leave this definition, the one that I have sort of created over the years of practicing and consulting and teaching, and that is this: that Feng Shui is a practice and wisdom that is considering everyone in your space. It's where home improvement meets and enhances self-improvement. And at its very golden center, Feng Shui is about love. And to me, love always matters. And just like that, it's another episode wrap. A million thanks for being here and listening today. And if you're not quite ready for this conversation to end, come find me on the gram. I'm at Amanda Gibby Peters, or grab a copy of my book, Simple Shui for Every Day, available at Amazon and Bookshop and anywhere you get your books. And if you want to work with me, check out simpleshui.com for all the ways we can make that happen. Cheers to marvelous week, sweets, and I hope to see you back here in a week. Until then, give that house of yours some big love for me.